Hey, what is up everyone? Before diving into the video, I just wanted to invite you to join the Work Smarter Discord community. This is actually an IT community that we started about a year ago where me and a friend just said, hey, let's meet once a week, let's hold one another accountable to our learning goals, and let's grow together. And that group of two of us has now grown to, we're about to hit 500 members, which is crazy. But what I think sets our community apart from others is we meet every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and we answer two questions. What did you accomplish this past week? And what are your specific learning goals for this week? And then we actually hold one another accountable so we can grow together. Not only that, but we offer mock interviews, we offer resume reviews, some resume workshops, hacking workshops, all of it completely free of charge, just as a way of giving back to the cybersecurity community. So if you are looking for a group of people to grow with, would love to have you join me. I will drop a link to it in the description of this video. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the video for today. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to another live stream. We are having some weird technical difficulties between me and Amoeba Man. I think there's a delay in our voices, but we are live. We'll see if we can get this figured out, and we will jump into some Active Directory hacking. For those of you joining me on Twitch, if you can let me know if everything sounds good, if everything looks good for you, and we will get to the hacking. I'm going to try to ping Amoeba Man now. Can you hear me now, sir? I feel like I'm on a Verizon commercial. Weird technical difficulties between me and Amoeba Man. I think there's a delay in our voices. But we are live. We'll see if we can get this figured out, and we will jump into some Active Directory hacking. For those of you joining me on Twitch, if you... Whoa.
Hear me, Tyler?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I don't know if you can still see my screen sharing.
No, your screen share closed out on us.
Okay, yeah, that's because I tried to do it from my phone. I'm going to quickly try to rejoin again from the PC. Give me a second.
That's fine. I'll entertain the people on Twitch. How you guys all doing? We got Runting Sadness and COD 0X, if I'm saying that right. Good to have you guys hanging out with us. And anyone else joining? Good to have you here. Our stuff yesterday was flawless. Today we're having just some weird technical glitches, but I think we'll be able to get them figured out. The one unique thing about this whole stream and the power of technology is I'm here in the US and Amoeba Man is joining from South Africa. So it is 10 at night where I am. It is like 5 in the morning where he's at. So that's a cool part about technology, but of course you always have the possibility of weird technical glitches with that. And I see your stream now, Amoeba Man. I see your screen.
Can you hear me as well?
I can hear you. Can you guys on Twitch hear him? If you can, give me a thumbs up or let me know. But everything should be good. You should be good to go. Everything should be good. You should be good to go.
Cool. Sorry, I'm running on mobile data here between the office network and mobile data. Will get this sorted. I might have to jump a couple of times, but as long as you can hear me, I think let's get cracking with everything that we did last time. So basically where we were last time or yesterday was that we used Certipy to generate a certificate for Amanda, and then we generated a certificate for the administrator user. The unfortunate thing is the certificate that we generated for the administrator user can only be used for server authentication. So this is not yet sort of like a direct path to DA. But we did discuss some bloodhound results from yesterday where there is paths for us to basically alter the template. And by altering that template, we can enable client authentication for the template and get that one to work. So for now, let's just first focus on the Amanda certificate, and then we'll take things from there. So using the Amanda certificate, the thing to remember is that this certificate can be used for client authentication. And if you just start to sort of like Google things like doing WinRM with client authentication or evil WinRM with a certificate and everything, then you'll see that you can't do it with evil WinRM. But what it does show you is that you can definitely do WinRM itself with certificates. It's not, I don't know if it's in this link, Here we go. So this is the link that I was looking for. So you can see that it tells you that, like, look, we can basically make connections to WinRM using a WinRM shell, and then essentially changing the SSL port to a different port. And then basically what we have is we have a connection here. And what you can see, what we do is, instead of specifying a username and a password, or instead of specifying a password hash, you can see that we are specifying a client certificate. Now, I just want to backtrack a little bit because I used Certipy to generate my certificate. And you can actually use that website that we got access to. You can use that to generate a certificate. So on Windows PCs, you'd usually use the user interface to generate your certificate, which means you go into the management console, you add the certificate snap in, and basically you go through the prompts to generate a certificate. But there's a lot of Linux servers out there, and a lot of those Linux servers are hosting things like websites internally, and they need certificates. So how do you get those Linux machines to actually also get a certificate? Now, that's where you basically use OpenSSL to generate a certificate signing request. So you basically generate a private key. You sign a certificate signing request with that private key that you generated, and we upload that to the website that we got access to, that Cert SRV website that we got access to. And then the website will basically allow you to download a certificate. It will generate it for you and download it. But honestly, in today's time with tools like Certipy, it's just so much easier to interface with those type of things. The one thing that's very interesting about Certipy is that what happens with Certipy is it will give you the certificate in a PFX format, and it will give you the certificate in a format in PFX where there's no password used for the PFX file, which technically breaks Windows, because Windows believes that if a certificate has the private key embedded, then the certificate must have a password to protect the private key. So importing a Certipy certificate into Windows is actually a lot more of a nuisance than what I first thought, and that's why I also decided to not fully go down that route. But essentially, if we just quickly go back to, I just want to go back to this link so that I can show you the script that we are going to use, which is the shell.py. Then you'll see essentially all it's doing is using WinRM, making a connection to the WS-man on our IP and port using SSL. Now here you can see it has username and password embedded, right? And you don't need the username and password. Instead, what we are going to do is we are going to give it client cert and client key. So that is basically what you can see that I've done here in this script for Amanda. And you can see that basically we have require WinRM. We have the connection here. It's connecting to sizzle.hackthebox.local on port 5986 to the WS-man service. And it's connecting with the Amanda SIR and the Amanda key that it's basically using to connect. Now you'll notice that I had a PFX file. So how on earth did I get the SIR and the key out of it? Well, that took, again, just a little bit of Googling, and I'm hoping that I have the one terminal open where, no, that's my proxy chains. Let's see, yes, here we go. So here's basically the commands that I use to generate that certificate. So the first thing that we do is, and I just want to get the correct command. You know what, let me just Google those commands again. IBM get key and SIR out of certificate. So yeah, IBM has a lot of help on this, and I don't know exactly why.
Thank you, IBM, for helping us hack.
So we're basically using their stuff, and I'll run through those steps again. So the first one that we want to do is we don't want any certs, but we want to pull out the key. But then OpenSSL goes like, no, you have to specify a password for the key, right? And we don't want to specify a password for the key. And lovely IBM comes to our rescue by then just converting that thing to RSA. We can decrypt the private key, which means that we don't need to store it with a key. So basically, the command, and let's do a split screen here. That failed horrifically. Let's try it like that. Okay, so basically, if we are currently, so this is my media folder that's just shared with my Windows machine as well. And you'll see I went sort of like down a path of madness with a lot of certificates. But
that is awesome.
If we do the open SSL, then basically what we'll do is we'll say in, and we'll take the amanda.pfx. That's the certificate that we'll take in. We'll say, please give us no certs, but out, we want the amanda2.key, and that's just because I'm going to show it again. So we'll do that. Now the import password, as I mentioned, Certipy generates it without a password, but now you have to specify a password for the PEM. So now we have that amanda2.key got generated for us, and we can see that we have an encrypted private key. Then we can take it a step further and also pull out the certificate. So we'll do pkcs-in amanda. We'll do that entire one.pfx. And this time we'll say cl certs, right? No keys this time. And out, I am looking for amanda2.ser to get a ser file from her as well. So we'll do that. The import password is empty, and now we can see that we pulled out the certificate. And the last step is, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that we don't actually need the password for the key. So we'll say key and we'll say out. We want Amanda, and I just do DE for decrypt key, and we enter the passphrase, which is just password again. Okay, so now we've basically exported, and let me just show you that one. But from the PFX file, we exported the certificate and we exported the key. And that's what we are now using in this WinRM script to basically connect to the WSMan service, which allows us to run PowerShell commands. So if we run this one, we will see that we get a PowerShell prompt, and we are allowed to run who am I, and it does take a minute, and we can see that we are HackTheBox man. So that's
Crazy.
our initial entry point into this.
That is insane.
Yes. But this is now where stuff starts to break, right? Because I read the walkthrough after completing this yesterday, and they want you to now bypass constrained language mode of PowerShell. Because essentially, because we are running PowerShell commands through the WSMan service, we are technically only allowed to run specific commands. I mean, if I ask it to list the tasks, for example, then we should see a neat access denied error in a second when it comes back. And we can see access denied, and it tells you native command error. If you run like IEX stuff to download, for example, malware that you then execute, it's going to give you an issue. And basically, it's twofold. The first thing is the constrained language. And then the second part that we'll get to is the fact that they have app locker enabled, which means that they technically want to limit the applications that you are allowed to run. The only issue with that is and there's a Try Hack Me course on that, which is called Living Off the Land, right? You don't need a lot to get very far. And I know that in this instance, I was using Cobalt Strike for it. And that's simply because Cobalt Strike Socks Proxy is a little bit better. But we can do it with MSF as well. If you, and I'm going to Google this and then I'll run through a step. MSF Venom DLL payload, right? So we can see that with Meterpreter, we can do exactly the same thing where we generate a DLL payload instead of a executable. And that's noteworthy for two reasons. Number one, right, in terms of constrained language, we'll talk about how we bypass that in a minute. But in terms of the things like app locker and all of that, if we're living off the land, if we're using the binaries that are available in Windows to execute our malware, we can bypass rules like app locker. And app locker was meant to make your life difficult so that you couldn't run something like Rubius or any of those other tools to get a TGT that we'll talk about. But if you generate something like a DLL payload, living off the land would be using run DLL payload.dll and then whatever your starting flag was. So for Cobalt Strike, that's start. I'm pretty sure for Meterpreter, that's also the same type of flag that they use to just get the DLL to work. And I mean, we can see here that you get the DLL, and then as soon as you run the DLL, you get a shell. So this is not something specific to Cobalt Strike. This is more something where we're living off the land because run DLL is a actual binary that is allowed for Windows processors. A lot of services use it. There's another one that you could have used, which is basically MHHTA. which would allow you to execute a HTA payload as well. So that's the way in which we are going to bypass app lock. Now, to get back to the constrained language mode that we have here, we can't do an IEX web client download here because then it's going to complain with us, right? But I think a mistake that was made a little bit here is that when you do things like OSCP and also when you do assessments, right, once you use something once, that doesn't mean that it goes away, right? You can reuse whatever you had in the past. And that's essentially what I used here. If you remember, we had access to a file share. And on that file share, we had write access. So why am I going to struggle to try and get my files on this actual machine if the simple solution is just to copy them across to the Samba share? Now, remember, the Samba share clears itself every 1 minute, so there is a little bit of a timing thing to it. But what we'll do is we'll quickly just first go to our C drive and then execute the, I hope it's not going to complain that I'm linking commands, and we can see there's the department shares, right? So the folder in question for us, let me add quotes because there's a space. It's going to be department shares. And then it should be users like that. I think I just killed my terminal. No, you go away. Let's restart. Sorry, remember, this isn't like a fully fledged PowerShell session. So when you make mistakes, you kill it very, very often. So we want to go to users like that. Go. That should work, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it looks correct to me.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And we can see that we have that nice little public folder, right? Now, what we are going to do, remember, we are Amanda. So we want to be in a location where Amanda has write access to files. Now, I can think of no better way than to literally go to Amanda's user directory, right? She will have the right permissions to write files here. So basically, this is where we are going to write our malware. And as I mentioned, I'm going to use Cobalt Strike for this step, and it's just because I like their Socks Proxy a little bit more. And remember, the entire reason for us trying to get a foothold on this host is we want some mechanism to get that port 88 out. Because as soon as we have the Kerberos port out, we can do a bunch of different things. Kerberos is on the table again for that Mulkey account. But for me personally, certificate-based authentication is a lot better because then we have the Kerberos port exposed, and we know that there's a Kerberos certificate or CA that allows us to use certificates for Kerberos authentication as well. So I'll show a little bit of the Cobalt Strike stuff. You can see we were a little bit busy last night, but let's just remove this session because that one has unfortunately died. So basically with Cobalt Strike, same as what you have with MSF console, we have a listener. It's listening for a beacon coming back. And I hope that is still my IP. So let's actually just, yes, it shows that
your
I'm
IP should stay the same.
Okay, magic. So that's good. So what we're going to do is we'll do an attack. So basically we will attach it to that listener. And in our case, as I mentioned, we are going to make use of DLLs. Using DLLs for your malware is a really, really popular technique, and it bypasses a lot of antiviruses out there. I don't know why. They can detect malware in an executable format, but as soon as it's a DLL, it just doesn't work, the detection. So we'll generate this one, and basically what we'll do is we'll call this one, let's call it hacksmarter.dll. Give you a little bit of self-promotion there. So we'll write that one. We'll go into our folder, documents, HackTheBox, Sizzle, and it should be there, hacksmarter.dll. Perfect. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we'll first start up our SMB client to that department share, or even connect with Anonymous. So I did try to connect with Amanda, and that didn't really give me more access to specific folders or anything like that. So I just decided to not do that. Okay. So cool. So we're in the public folder, and as I mentioned, we have a little bit of a timing constraint here because something is reading our files there. So let's just also get this one ready. where we say copy for us, please, from C department is users public, and then it's going to be hacksmarter.dll, no, quote close, and copy it to this location. So we're ready on this side. On this side, we say put hacksmarter.dll.
So you just got to be fast about it within 1 minute, I suppose.
I mean, 1 minute's a lot of time to do a lot of hacking and damage. So you can see that the copy worked, and we have that DLL there. And as I mentioned, living off the land, bypassing both the constrained language part with the file share, and now app locker with literally just making sure that we use the binaries that are available here. We'll tell that little thing to start. And then if we go to CS, we probably need to give it a second.
I'm going to pause you really quick, just for those of you watching on stream. I think there's some type of strong thunderstorm going on top of my house right now. So if we do disconnect from stream, it's because I lost power. I think we'll be okay, but there's always a chance. So just want you guys to know that. All right, back over to you.
Cool. Well, I hope it's gonna work. I'm waiting for my callback. Yeah, let's see if I get a callback this morning. I might have to restart one of these listeners or something like that.
I think your IP might be wrong. Your host IP, that's supposed to be your machine's IP, right?
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah, this one
is 0.5 maybe.
Okay, but then that IP did change, which is
it did.
slightly annoying. I am a little bit not happy with that. So what we'll do is we'll take this one. Let's just add a host first. Okay, yeah, my IP definitely changed. 16.5, so we'll add a callback host. Remove that one, otherwise it does round robin. That takes a long ass time. We'll save it, we'll restart the listener. Now the issue is I need to create new malware, right? Because remember, my attack was basically on that listener. So we'll go to another payload, we'll do a stateless payload. Now, our entire company does not believe in stage payloads. They do not perform great. Smarter 2. Cool. Let's do this process again. So what we'll do is we'll take that right up to that point, 2.dll dot, and then what we'll do is we'll say, please put that second one for us there, and we'll copy it. Did I do something wrong, or did it literally in that minute? Yep, it literally in that minute read the file.
Just the wrong time.
Just the wrong time to execute it. Come on now. Yep. There we go. Make sure it's there, and then we'll do a run DLL.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. There we go. Cool. The first thing we'll do with this beacon is we'll just turn it to be interactive, which is essentially just telling it that it should not have a callback time. The only issue that we have is because I'm connected via VPN, it keeps on like having a callback time and all of that. Okay, so it looks decent. We're getting decent milliseconds here. Not too high, not too low, and everything like that. Now, I'm not going to use any of the Cobalt Strike features, as I mentioned, apart from the fact that I want a Socks Proxy. Now, I just want to remove my old proxy pivot because that one's no longer valid. And what we're just going to do is literally, I mean, what I love about Cobalt Strike is we can do help socks, and it gives us all of the help. And we'll do literally socks. Let's do 8180 for our Socks Proxy. So what it's now basically doing is it's saying that it will start on your team server, wherever you're hosting your team server of Cobalt Strike, and that's basically the C2 framework. So this is just the GUI. The team server is hosted also on a Scully machine, but usually when we have assessments, we'll host that on a separate machine so that all of us can connect to the same with the same GUI and everything like that and see the commands that everyone else has executed. And on that team server, it's starting a Socks proxy on port 8180. which means that if you connect to the team server on port 8180, right, it would forward all of the traffic through to this specific listener. So
And
it's
that's
a
all you had to
lovely
do
way.
in Cobalt
That's all
Strike?
I
Because
have
I
to
know
do.
like in Metasploit, it was like you had to set it all up, then you had to go into like the config file and make sure all that stuff was valid. And I always screwed it up when I was doing the throwback network and other networks. That is that's way easier.
So you still need to do the proxy change configuration file. You're not
Sure.
getting away from it, right? So like, here's my file, and we can see I did it the other way around yesterday. So now it's 8180. And there we go. We have 8180. And now let's test this, right? And the best way for me to personally test it is let's actually use Certipy to try and authenticate with a certificate. So we'll say proxy chains, right? Certipy auth, and please auth for us with the Amanda.pfx certificates. The proxy chains is running now, and you will see a line that tells you where the stuff happens. There, right there. So do you see that we are proxying our traffic to 8180? That is going to 88, right? And then what basically happens is it does the rest of the process. Now, it seems like it has no support for P data, which I don't know why it's complaining about my certificate now. We'll just regenerate another certificate. But that now allows us to access port 88, right? Now, from this point, since this port is open, the next one that I want to show, because this is the intended path. Remember, we saw that in Bloodout, but okay, let's just not do that. And let's first use a lovely Tyler script for ourselves. So I actually modified your script yesterday to work for me. So no, not downloads, give me documents. So you'll see that basically I took your offensive security certificate for 80 Kerberos, and if I just do a cat of that one, you'll see I literally just added
You just added
proxy
proxy
in
chains.
front of the command.
Yep. So
Exactly.
it
So
includes that.
let's quickly actually do this one, because this is the intended path that they want us to take. So the domain, okay, on this note, because I did not fundamentally understand this, and I understand this better now. Sizzle.hackthebox.local is not the domain. Sizzle is the domain controller hostname. With HackTheBox, their domain is always hackthebox.local.
Sure.
So
That's why you had to do
you
that before.
shouldn't be specifying sizzle.hackthebox. The actual domain is hackthebox.local. Our username here is Amanda, and our password is that ashare 1972. And then the IP address, I can read it from the Cobalt Strike beacon, is that. And we can see we're doing a proxy chain 23389, which is first our LDAP things, if I remember correctly. And then you'll see that we go to 88, right? Which wasn't open to us. And then Kerberos session KTGT expired. Geez, is everything just going to break today?
It's always when you're on stream, dude.
Know what? I think it might be because I loaded in a Kerberos ticket. Just give me a second to I'll run that command again. You know what? Yeah, let's just quickly run it again, and then I'll try to remove that ticket. A share. No, that's wrong. Share. 10.129.238. Come on. Why are you being mean with me today? While that one runs, let me quickly look for that thing. Yeah, it's literally just being not happy with me today. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll export KLB5CC name. I'll export that to just be nothing. Let's taste that again if it's that thing. Otherwise, might have to debug what's happening here. But I do at least have the hash, so, or the challenge. I just don't know why it's being not nice to me this morning. That on that note, I've also not rebooted my Cuddy, so
Sure.
that might have something anything to do with it because ticket expired. Oh, you see, it's trying to read my Kerberos ticket. And I'm like, why are you reading my Kerberos ticket? You shouldn't. Like, you're not allowed to. Oh, come on, man. Why is this in-packet application being a nuisance now? Amanda, a share 1972. Otherwise, I'll literally just get a new Kerberos ticket so that that I can do as well. See that I don't have a Kerberos ticket saved, please. It's just how
Yo,
see,
I'm gonna
it
pause you
keeps
real
on
quick.
saying, I think it's
Something,
because yes.
something crazy just happened on Twitch. I'm gonna welcome some people. Someone raided the channel, which I've never heard of before, but we just jumped to like 40 viewers from 6. So, for all of you who just joined us, welcome. We are doing some Active Directory hacking. This is part 2. Part 1 will be posted on my YouTube channel tomorrow, and part 2 will be posted the day afterwards. But Amoeba Man, I will turn it back over to you. Just wanted to shout out all the new people on Twitch.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out how I can remove this export. Let's do that. Linux export. There we go. I just want to delete this variable quickly because otherwise it's going to keep on trying to use this Kerberos ticket, which is definitely not a valid one. So come on now. Okay. Just get it quickly here. Okay, I think I can do that. Unset. Okay, let's try that again. HackTheBox at local. Username Amanda. A share.
Come on, Amanda. We believe in you.
Please. Come on. Come on. Do this without a Kerberos ticket. I have faith in you. CCAS not found. Skipping. That's what I wanted it to do. Thank you. So
Very
now
cool.
it's skipping my Kerberos cache file. So you can see we're now
Hey.
connecting times, and there we go. So now we have the TGS, and as you know, this TGS can now be cracked. I mean, let's continue on this path until we get it. So basically, what we'll do with this TGS is we'll just say hash. Hashes. Let's just go for a new name. And I'll literally just chuck that in there. And I think you actually have one of the scripts that we need to crack it as well. So let's chmod +x80 hashcat Kerberos. So we'll chuck this script. And then what is it called? Well, it's simply called hashes. Oh, and you are complaining that my word list is not in the right location. Let me actually quickly see where did I put my word? Well, yes, definitely. But also, I think I actually copied the rocky to a different location. You see?
Yeah.
So let's go to the file system. You are expecting it in user share word list. User share word list. I don't have permission. That's why I didn't do it. See, this is why I hate Kali from like a root perspective. Because like why not just like make then all of these files belong to the Kali user? Wordless.
Yeah. That's why I do everything as root when you re-enable root login. It just makes it easier.
Yeah, no. Okay, so let's quickly crack this one, and we should be getting a password for this one. While that cracking happens, I want to talk a little bit about the path that I took from this point. So rather than going for this Kerberos account, which is definitely something that you can do because you again have access to the Kerberos port at this point. It's much better at this point, I personally believe, to stick with this entire thing of we are exploiting certificates. So essentially, the exploit that I was using is that certificate exploit, and I just want to get the number of that one again. But essentially, the certificate exploit is CVE 2022 26923. So, okay, we can see we cracked this one, and the password
Football number
was
7.
football number
Secure.
7. So let's just actually quickly go save this so that we have Sizzle. Echo. Please echo. What's this account's name? ML Milky, like that. There we go. That, and we'll just echo that into Mr. Milky. Cool. So remember, the reason Milky was valid is he has the ability to read the entire domain. So we can do a secret dump, a DC sync with this user, which we will do as well. I just want to show a little bit of the certificate exploit paths. So sticking with the certificate exploit paths, basically what that CVE allows us to do is if we have the ability to register a new computer object, which is a default permission all users are assigned in the domain, then what you can do is you can create a little bit of confusion with the machine certificate and for who the machine certificate is being generated. So let's quickly do a couple of those steps. Now, the first step that we need to do is basically the add computer command of impact. Now, I just want to pull up my actual try hack me room next to me here so that I do actually have the commands.
Yeah, I'm going to drop a link to it. For those of you in chat on Twitch, I'll drop a link to this room just so you guys can check it out later. It was created by the guy you're listening to. Not me, the other guy.
Hey, please work with me. Must say my internet is so slow this morning.
Your stream looks great. Like it's nice HD, everything looks good, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm glad my stream is doing, but everything else is truly struggling at this point. Just loading a room. Know what? While that happens, let's just do a -H so that we get a little bit of help here. Just can't remember the initial string that I need to give the credentials for.
Here, I can tell you.
Doesn't have a positional argument, so that should be HackTheBox .local. Cool. HackTheBox.local. We'll do it as the Amanda user.
Yeah, you're
and then
right.
we have her, which is a share 1972, like that. Then we will say computer name is going to be, in this case, let's do our hack smarter computer. And then what we are going to do is computer pass. That for us is going to be, well, anything. We can literally just make that password one exclamation mark. Cool. And then do I need anything else? I don't think so, right?
Hope that looks correct.
That should be it. No, I need to specify where it's actually -DC IP. Let's just pull that DC IP again. 10.129.238.1. Okay, that should be everything. I think there's an LDAP-S command somewhere in here that I'm missing as well, but let's see.
Maybe -method and then LDAP-S if you need to.
Let's see if it's going to work with us today. Okay, successfully added the HackSmarter machine. Okay, perfect. So what I am going to do is I am going to drop off my network here, and then I'm just quickly going to shift it to my Windows PC because we need to perform a couple of steps there. So just give me a second to enable my VPN on my Windows PC, and then I'll share that screen as well. Okay, so for those that are new to it, Windows hacking is quite powerful, and I can promise you that it's definitely going to play a role somewhere in your hacking career to basically do it. So what I'm going to do is basically, as I've done there, is I want to basically inject Amanda's credentials into memory so that we can use them. And if you followed along the Active Directory courses that I've created on Try Hack Me, then you'll know that the authenticate to a domain controller, because remember, this Windows machine itself is not joined to any domain. Let's just close that console there so that we can redo that step. And basically, then what we're doing is for the user, HackTheBox.local Amanda, and we'll want to spawn command prompt as soon as it works. So we'll do a share 1972 for a password, and we can verify the access by basically doing a dir of our machine. And now I actually just need to get that IP quickly. So that IP will be here somewhere. What, I'm just going to read it from somewhere that I did it on terminal. That's going to be better. Just want that IP right there. But I do think I've already embedded it, but let's just make sure. Ping. Cool. Okay, I get that. And ping hackthebox.local. And that also works. Perfect. So we can verify that the credentials work by doing this 129.238.1, and we want access to Sysville, which all domain users have, and we see network access denied, which means that the credentials are working. Remember, we're trying to do end-to-end authentication here, which definitely is not allowed from a non-domain Windows machine. But
Sure.
if the password was incorrect, it would say incorrect username or password. So the fact that it tells us network access denied means that it's working. Then what we'll do is we'll boot MMC, so management console, from that one, which means that any connections we are now making will be made, network connections will be made here. So we'll see it complains about the domain, and then we tell it, don't you stress, we want you to please connect to hackthebox.local. And we just need to give it a couple of seconds to do the network-based authentication. And we're back to GUI hacking, which is my favorite.
Magic.
So there we see. It's loading hackthebox.local for us. Come on. One of these days. There we go. And then just give it a minute to load. But while it loads, let's also confuse it a little bit more by telling it I want advanced options, which means it will update the entire thing again. We'll open that hackthebox.local. And now what you will see is that magically we have, once it loads, geez, like it's slow this morning. But once it loads, we can go into computers and you will see that we have magically added a new computer object to this specific domain. Come on, just you load. There we go. And there's our Hack Smarter computer. So you can see that we were able to enroll a new computer into our domain, which is magical. If I can right click on properties, we can look at all of the properties. Now, while we're trying to do this, the reason for it is by default, Active Directory certificate services will expose two different certificates, both of which can be used for client authentication. The first one is user, the other one is machine. User is for a user, machine is for a Windows domain joined machine that we can do this. Now, the user certificate is actually secure, right? It does generate that based on your user principal name, or not your user principal name, based on your SAM account. And
Sure.
all of that is legit, right? You can't do anything with it. Where the issue comes in is specifically with the machine certificates. So what's interesting is when you request a machine certificate, then it generates a certificate and it pulls the Kerberos principal or the user principal name. It pulls that from an attribute called your DNS, if I can just find it. Where is it? Your DNS host name. So it will pull basically and generate a certificate for your DNS host name. Now, the issue with the DNS host name, right, is I can change this to, well, I can't change it here.
That's right.
But I need my PowerShell to change it. But I can change this to be, for example, the DNS host name of a domain controller. And then when I request a certificate, right, I request a certificate for the domain controller's machine account not for my lowly, low privilege Windows machine that I've embedded. Now, what used to stop you is as soon as you change the DNS name, it automatically updates what we call your server principal names, which is basically for Kerber roasting and all of those wonderful things. If I can just get their server principal name. Geez, okay, none of my stuff is set on this thing. I think it's just also because it needs to refresh. But SPNs are actually set here for that HackSmarter PC. What happens is when you try to set it to a domain controller, it will try to update your service principal names as well. And as soon as it tries to update those service principal names, it's going to fail because they have to be unique and the domain controller already owns those service principal names. However, what is very, very nice is that we can basically just delete our entire service principal names, and that would actually allow us to basically set the DNS host name to whatever we want. So I'm just quickly pulling this up on the side because we will be using PowerShell for this. So let's just quickly do PowerShell, and we will be using the ADRSAT commands to basically modify what we need to have modified. So let's quickly get to that command. Okay, so let's quickly look at what those things are. So we'll say get AD computer, get our HackSmarter computer for us with the properties of DNS hostname and the service principal name. So we'll get both of those, and let's just quickly, in this one, get our IP. Ping HackTheBox.local. I just want to make sure I get the new one. Cool. So we'll get that one. And then basically as part of our command, we'll say -server, because again, remember this host is not the main join. So please get this computer for us from this server. Give it a couple of seconds and then it should run for us, hopefully. VPN is slow. Cool. So what we can see there is we have a SAM account. I think I spelled service principal name incorrectly because it's not showing it. Did I spell it wrong? Distinguished name.
Correct to me.
Yeah, I definitely did something. Oh, I think it's not showing. No, it should show it to us.
Yeah, I'm following along with your try hack me room and everything looks correct.
Any case, cool. Let's just continue on. So now we'll do set computer for this computer. And the reason we are allowed to do this, right, is that we have the privilege of, we basically have the privilege of creator. We created this machine. And the creator privilege does allow us to change things like the service principal name. So we'll change the service principal name to be empty, so that we make sure that there's nothing funky happening there. So let's just get that command to run. And then because it's now empty, we can update the DNS host name. So we'll set the principal for the DNS host name or the attribute for it. And we'll set that DNS host name. This is now going to mask our domain controller, which is Sizzle.HackTheBox.local. Let's just get that command to run. And now when we do get computer again, we should see that the DNS host name has been updated. And we see that the DNS host name has been updated there. So perfect. We're going to use Certipy again from this point. So let's just quickly disconnect that virtual machine and we can drop that one out. Let's go back to this one here. Let's just choose a terminal that's actually in the right. You know what? Let's do it directly here in documents. What can go wrong? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we will ask Certipy to request a certificate for us. And you can see that I literally have this entire or half of the command already here. So what we're going to do is HackTheBox.local going to be requested by, and remember this is now by our computer account that we are trying to request it. So that is HackSmarter, HackSmarter $, and I hope I can remember the password, !! at, and then this should be at my friend Sizzle. dot HackTheBox dot local with the CA of, what's their CA again? I need that somewhere. Let's quickly go check what their CA is. Box Sizzle, go into Certipy. We'll have those results for us, and let's just cat the txt file. There we go. So for this CA, please, the template is the machine template that we want to generate, right? So we run that request. Oh, you know what? It will maybe help if I re-enable my VPN, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise,
that might come
we're
in
not
handy, I
connecting to
guess.
any. Might come in handy. Cool. And our Cobalt Strike beacon should be calling back any second again now, since we're back on. There we go. It's back again. Cool. So we're requesting a certificate. All of that should be RPC access denied. Why is nothing working this morning? Let's just do that. I think that's what I need. No,
What?
RPC access got denied. Honestly, since this machine killed itself once, it seems like it's really not happy with me today. Is my password correct? Let's just add a slash there for what it's worth. I don't think it's that. No, it's not happy. Which PC did I use to add a computer? Oh, I think it's lowercase password. My bad. Just add our Sizzle back there. Let's see. I hope I didn't lock that account.
I got the drum roll going.
I
Let's
don't
see what
think-
happens.
Yeah. Come on. Give me my certificate. You know you want it.
Shoot.
Okay, net price. No. That's a normal error. That's just
yeah,
run it
that's-
again
that's true.
until it responds. I don't
I
know
remember
why
that
the
from your
VPN
room.
with HackTheBox is slow. Okay, magical. So what you'll see is even though we requested a certificate for the HackSmarter machine, you'll see that we got a certificate with the DNS hostname of Sizzle, with sizzle.pfx. And now this is where the absolute magic happens. So we can do certify auth please with sizzle.pfx. I think I need like a dash pfx to tell it it's a pfx that it's going to use. Now, watch this. Okay, proxy chains. Geez, like, I can't spell this morning. Come on, proxy chains, work with me. Give me some magic. And you'll see, this is why we need proxy chains, because that port 88 that we need to hit. And again,
Which in the real
that's where
world,
the
that's usually open, right? Like if this is a real assessment.
usually open. Yes. Okay. Why is it just absolutely being the worst with me today? I'm not getting Kerberos tickets with it. I'm not getting everything. Geez, like Kerberos P data, no support for P data. Oh, you know what? I know this error. So I've had it before as well on my actual machines that do ADCS. If the Kerberos CA does not boot up correctly, the ADCS, then it doesn't actually want to give you Kerberos tickets with under. So I'll literally have to boot their machine to get a Kerberos ticket, which is just so annoying. Because this should be working. Okay. I mean, I can literally log into the machine and do it for them. But that's just sad because I'll have to kill this machine. But basically, so just a note on that, right? You have Active Directory certificate service, and then under that it has a authentication service that it boots to allow Kerberos authentication to be done with the certificate. And sometimes it has a false start when it's trying when it's trying to boot the authentication service before the Kerberos service has been booted, then before the actual Active Directory certificate service has been booted, then it gets in this stuck limbo state. And you basically just need to reboot your ADC service and it will work for you. But okay, fine. Then they are pushing us down the known path that we need to go for. So let's just go down that path.
Is that just the DC sync? Is that like
something stuck in my throat?
The path they want us to do now is DC sync with that account.
Yep. But I mean, we could have done the DC sync with the sorry, geez, like
too early in the morning for you.
Sorry, I was dying there. Any case, so you could just, for example, we could have used the Kerberos ticket of the DC itself to do the process that we wanted, but since it's not being nice with us, we can now do a secret dump with this specific one. So I think you also have a script for secret dump, right?
I do, I believe.
DC sync, CH.
Yeah, DC sync.
Well, we'll see if it works out of the bat.
Yeah.
We might need to do a couple of things for a DC sync. The main HackTheBox.local. I love that thing. Let's get that account.
Yeah, I remember the first time I did this, it took me so long to do it right. So when I made this script, I was like, all right, sweet. I'm done screwing around with this stupid syntax.
The IP address is what? It should be literally here on my Cobalt Strike beacon. Let's see if this is going to work with me today. I must say, everything has been breaking, it seems, today. RPC access denied. Why? Dumping secrets? Okay, it's dumping it. It told RPC access denied, but it's dumping my secrets. So cool story. Let me not complain, all right? Cool. So now we have these things, and now, so a really neat trick to know is that you don't need something like port 88 to do some pretty malicious stuff. And then also, if you think about the range of 135, 139, 445, you don't need all of them to be open to do some bad stuff. So the one that we are going to do in this case is WMI exec. So WMI exec, and I'm talking off memory here, so I might be entirely wrong. So take it with a pinch of salt. But WMI exec uses basically the 139 port to basically invoke WMI commands. So this is what we are going to do. So we'll do WMI exec. Remember, we're going to use the administrate one. What's nice about it is we can use hashes, so that's definitely what we're going to use. But what's really, really nice about this is that we don't need Kerberos authentication to do anything here with that. So we'll give it that hash there. So the syntax for this is a little bit weird, but we'll do WMI exec with the hashes like that. Then I need a target, which is the situational thing. So that will be HackTheBox.local administrator. This is who we are impersonating. Administrator. No password for you. At Sizzle. No, spelled that wrong. Sizzle.hackthebox.local. Like that. Should be good. I think. Let's see. Maybe I need something else. Okay, using dialect. Creating a session. And let's see what's gonna happen.
Oh, look at that.
Taking ages.
And we are administrator. Beautiful.
Semi-interactive shell. Thank you for the warning. And we are the administrator. Okay. Now I'm gonna go get my flags because I feel like I deserve them at the
You deserve the flags. Yeah, I suppose we still haven't technically gotten a user flag.
I'm so sad that the service is actually not working. Because I would have loved to show sort of the certificate of authentication and all of that. But
Just
I
means
mean,
we'll need a part 3 sometime. You can always do the next box. What is it? Multi-master or something. That one's rated even more difficult than this one.
it's so slow. This is what happens when you hack on mobile data.
This is the last challenge, is actually getting the finding the flag. They probably hid the flag
I
in some
mean, I'll
silly
give it a
spot.
try,
Yeah,
but
it's
not
not
on
there.
mobile data. I use. Let's try some stuff. That might be user, right?
Yeah, it's almost always on the
I'm
desktop.
tired of waiting. I'm just like queuing up commands here. What? Where's my flag? I am gonna lose my stuff. This is unfair. I worked too hard for this.
It's probably hidden. Something
so
just silly.
Okay, no. You know what? I'm done. I'm done. We're gonna do this a proper way. Give me my shell. Give me my shell. I'm gonna go hard on this one. Oh, come on, don't tell me I killed my shell with a run DLL command. That's not fair.
This is great.
Are you serious? I'm honestly I'm at rope's end with this thing. Let's create another one. You can't tell me that killed my shell. Like, I don't believe you. I just think it's being slow. Can't even find my user flags, my root flags. I think definitely this box had a false start this morning because everything is incredibly slow. CD,
This is security.
users,
That's the security
Amanda.
they have in place.
Okay. That one just killed itself entirely. I might have a trick up my sleeve. Oh, it's hack smarter 2. Run DLL32. Hack smarter 2.dll, comma, start. Come on,
Breaking out
give me my
Cobalt
shell.
Strike.
Give me my shell. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I am done struggling. So we'll do access, explore, file browser. Just wait for it to become interactive. And then the paying is officially done. So you can see with our default parameters, it will sleep for around it. Magic. Okay. Where are you hiding? Where? I mean, seriously, like, where's her flag? Like, I am done with
there's
this.
root.
Give me
root's on
other
the
users,
desktop.
please. Give me administrator. If there's no administrator flag, yeah, I'm over it.
You have the
Desktop.
admin flag.
There's a
You just got the
clean
admin
dot back.
flag.
Okay, there we go. We got the root flag. So cool. So download that flag. Cool. I also want to see what's in this clean.bat file. So let's download that one. I know, but I need more. Where's this other stuff? Where's her flag? Let's try Moki. Maybe this guy. Desktop. I mean, that's bull saying that his flag is a user flag, but okay. You do you. View, where's my downloads? Thank you. Sync files. We'll sync it into HackTheBox, Sizzle. Download complete. Thank you for my flags. There's my user flag. Cool. I'll rate this one as an 8. This was a decent flag to get. Something went wrong. Magic. Doesn't even allow me to upload my flag. I mean, now it's just rubbing salt in my wounds, honestly. This is not fair. I worked hard for this flag. Where is it? Sizzle. Come on, give me a submission of flag. Chuck that in. 7. I will do an 8. Come on, just accept my flag. Thank you. And then cancel. Cool. Where's my root flag? Okay, got this one. Submit a flag. This one for me was not too bad. I'll rate it like a 6 because I think that once you understand that you can bypass a hell of a lot of the controls there, then not that bad. I'll definitely give it an 8. Common vulnerabilities, I'll give it like a 7 because it had the certificate stuff, but it had that CSF. Numeration, I'll give this one a 9. That was nice. Cool. There we go. Machine done. Now I just want to see what's in that clean.bat because I'm pretty sure that's one of the files that they use. Let's see. Okay, so this is just deleting all of the files. But what is that running as? That will probably be running as like one of their services. And then also, like just for my own sanity, we'll do a hash dump here so that we can load in all of the credentials. Magic. Cool. So now we have everything in our Cobalt Strike as well. There we go. That's basically it with this one. Now, if we go back to sort of all of the different bypasses here, then I think the certificate bypass is one that you can argue at that point, either doing the CVE or Kerber roasting the account. Both of those I feel are on the same skill level. Where I think they definitely did not intend there to be a bypass is in the constrained language mode of PowerShell and also in the app locker bypass. But it just seems silly to me to try and get your tools to work on the victim machine. I would just much rather go and actually sort of like set up a decent proxy, whether that's a Chisel thing, whether that's a Meterpreter thing, whether that's a Cobalt Strike thing, but set up a proxy just to get that port out. What I can say, and I mean, I know that you're not allowed to talk about sort of like OSCP exam stuff and all of that, but what I can say is that like making sure that you have the ability to proxy out specific ports is something that they teach you in the OSCP course, and it's something that you should experience in real life as well. There's a lot of times where things don't happen or don't work from specific machines. The most popular sort of like real life example that I can give there is a lot of the times when we are testing from a VPN, then a workstation on the VPN is not allowed to access another workstation on the VPN. But a server on the corporate network is allowed to access both workstations on the VPN. So what you would do is you would pivot to that server. But again, you can't just drop all of your malware on that server because it's going to get flagged. So you set up a proxy to then essentially proxy all of your traffic from that host to basically all of the workstations and everything. So I do think that that's quite a decent sort of like real life example there. It would be interesting to understand sort of what service is making a call and reading that stuff and everything. But I mean, at this point, we do control that entire box. So a little bit of post exploitation looking into it will be good. I am very sad that all of the certificate stuff did not work. But that's a false start on the machine side, and unfortunately, not something that I can necessarily fix from my perspective here. So sadly, no.
Crazy. Man, fascinating stuff. And can you hear me okay? Our audio was like not synced together for a little bit there. Is it synced now?
Any questions or are we cutting it here?
It's still not synced. That's weird. Can you hear me okay? Our audio was like not synced together for a little bit. Hey, look at the chat once you hear me talking
Fairly
like
synced,
15
but I
seconds
do think
later.
there's still a little bit of lag. That's 100% on my side with mobile data. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just there's a big lag. Eventually he'll hear me say, look at the chat. This is the beauty of doing this across the ocean together. Maybe he'll eventually hear me. I'm gonna shoot a message.
How's the audio now?
I can hear you.
How's the lag now?
Yeah, are you hearing me right away? Talk when you hear me.
Now I hear you.
Oh, weird. Yeah,
I
it was
think
like
we're back in sync.
that was weird. It didn't really affect the stream at all. I was just being careful not to talk because when I talked, you'd hear me like like 20 to 30 seconds later, and it was really confusing. Oh man,
Sorry
exciting
about
stuff
that.
though.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was
Yeah,
fascinating to see.
I love this box. Like honestly, the certificate stuff was right up my alley with like exploits. I'm so sad that literally all of those certificate exploits that I did yesterday did not work. Like that's not fun, man. Like I
No,
love the certificate exploits way more than like Kerberoasting because um the initial foothold is hard, definitely, with that SCF file thing and all of that, and then getting access through a certificate. That's definitely like up there with like in terms of complexity. But once you have that, it feels like the challenge falls flat to have the end of the challenge be Kerber roasting. It's not as fun. It's not as magical and everything like that. So
yeah, I agree.
I was hoping for something more.
I agree. Very cool. Well, when you want to tackle what is it? The next room is, or the next insane room is it multi-master or something? Let me see what it's called. Pull my screen over so y'all on Twitch can see it. Yeah, multi-master is rated even more difficult if you look at the user difficulties. It's a little bit more difficult than Sizzle. So the next time you want to give another shot at a room, we could try to take down multi-master. I wonder what it says
Definitely.
for the hints. Software and data integrity failures, security misconfigurations.
That thing literally seems to have everything. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's
definitely
nuts.
tackle it. I'm flying to Portugal, so I'm on Saturday, and then I'll be back again in a week's time and all of that. So we'll maybe set up another session somewhere that we
Yes.
can tackle the things.
Awesome. And for those of you who hung out on Twitch, I know people popped in out of Discord, or whether you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, hey, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for joining us this evening. The days that I stream are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from around 9 p.m. Central Time to around midnight Central Time, depending on the night. And when I stream on this coming Tuesday, I'll take another break from the hacking. I'm working through a malware analysis course, and you guys can watch me analyze some malware live. We're doing some advanced static analysis and dynamic analysis, doing debugging and looking at assembly language, which, man, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll stumble through it together and we will learn it together. So for those of you on stream, thank you for joining. Thank you for hanging out. I will catch you guys next week. Peace.